What's up? It's Kiana, Danial, founder of the Invest Diva movement. Welcome to Diva on the Block, where I take you to the backstreet of this whole blockchain, Bitcoin, and cryptocurrency shenanigans that everybody's super afraid of, to show you what really is going on and how you can take advantage of it. Today, I have yet another super awesome guest. Her name is Samantha Radocchia. She's also known as Sam Rad. She's a serial entrepreneur, the author of the book Bitcoin Pizza. And we're talking about in this episode, we're going to talk about her foray to the blockchain cryptocurrency industry as a tech person, as a gamer, as an actual scientist, and what she's doing now with her current company, which is a pharmaceutical blockchain company that you're probably going to find super fascinating. This company tracks pharmaceutical businesses to see where their drugs are coming from to get to the consumer hands. I find it very fascinating. We also talk about what she sees in the future of blockchain and cryptocurrency industry. And of course, she's gonna tell us what is her favorite cryptocurrency. So stay until the end, give this episode a thumbs up. If you're not a subscriber yet, go ahead and click that subscribe button and let's rock the block. Yeah, I practiced it last time and now I forgot.
It's fine. It's Radocchia.
Radocchia. Okay. I'm so glad I didn't say Radocchia.
That's why people call me Sam Rad, because I got this nickname.
Oh yeah.
They'd be like Sam Rad.
Sam Rad. That's so rad. Like you should just go with Sam Rad.
I do. Well, my full name is on the book and better for SEO. So if you like Google me, that's what you find. There's some other Sam Rad out there.
Oh, really?
Most of my social media.
Oh, you go crush that, Sam Rad.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, go do it. No, I mean, my last name is horrible. My last name is Danial. It's actually Daniel, but it's the Persian pronunciation. I wanted to just be authentic. Everybody pronounces Danial, and it's just not good. So, yeah.
No, but I think own it. It makes you.
I am. I mean, so everybody else in my family, they changed their last name to Daniel or Daniels.
Oh.
I'm the only Danielle in the whole family, and I'm like owning it, and I'm like going. And like the other day, I was in TD Ameritrade on NASDAQ, and I actually know the woman who I was like. We know each other. We've talked. We've hung out, and she goes, yeah, I have Kiana done. So I'm like, oh.
That's funny.
Yeah. So Sam Rad, thank you so much for joining today. We're like super excited. I just want to learn like everything there is about you, because I want our audience to know who are the people in blockchain who are super awesome and now they're in crypto. I want to know why. I want to know your backstory. So tell us about you. Where were you born? Where'd you get started?
Where did I come from?
Go all the way back.
Oh my God. Well, that's a very long backstory. So
whatever is relevant. All right, let's keep it short.
I was born in the United States, outside of New York City, in a state called Connecticut. And
I'm here. I'm in Connecticut right now.
Oh, okay. Well,
where in Connecticut?
I'm not. A few places towards the center and the northwest of the state.
All right. So, it's a big state.
Yeah.
It's a massive state.
Most people don't know the towns, but my parents are now by the shore, which is nice, and they're enjoying that. But yeah, I don't know. I have two brothers. I grew up the child of I guess my family had a family retail business. So I had an interesting upbringing running around in warehouses and distribution centers. And my dad had like all the, earliest technology and computers, and like, it was like a mainframe computer. So I kind of got into that with my brothers, and we were really into, we'd like build websites, and we did some gaming, like a lot of online gaming. And I started, I guess
that's where it started.
Yeah, I'd call it like coding.
Yeah.
It was really like building, those old school, very 90s feeling websites with like lots of colors and
yeah, I love those.
And puppies.
Yeah.
So yeah, I went to college. I started in neuroscience and didn't do technology, and then moved into anthropology because I just like love people. human behavior. I did some theater, like I was all over the place. And I started studying, I wanted to study gaming worlds, like, or mainly social media. It was around the time people started using things like Facebook, and my professors wouldn't let me study it because it was too like vague and not serious. And so for some reason I was able to get them to convince me to, or to convince them to study like gaming in this virtual world called Second Life.
Oh
And
yeah, I know that one. That was huge.
it
Is
was
it still
for
going?
a certain, so they have a second offshoot called High Fidelity, which is VR, and it actually has a cryptocurrency. The early one didn't, but it was like the beginnings of this. Like I ran a digital t-shirt shop, and I'd sell people digital t-shirts in this world, and they'd pay me in their in-world currency, which is called the Linden dollar. And then I was like, this is crazy. You can like go on websites and then exchange this Linden dollar for US dollars or this thing called Bitcoin. What is that? And this was like 2010, so very early. Like it was very connected at this time.
Yeah.
And I didn't really think much of it. Like I thought it was really cool from the anthropological perspective of like, okay, these online communities are very similar to physical communities. And then, yeah, so that's when I started to get into like crypto, or at least like becoming
You're very,
aware.
very early on then. This
Yeah,
is
but not as like, no one was thinking, or at least not myself, of, I'm going to buy, hold on to this, or like my brother
of
was going
course, yeah, but I mean,
but
you got introduced to it very early on, right?
yeah, from a very odd angle. And so, I wish I had saved the course then. I ended up starting a company while in college that was more, I created a recommendation algorithm like Pandora, but for fashion and clothing. And then that company, I filmed the whole thing. It turned into a TV show. It became a much bigger company. And there I was on the path to becoming, or I was, I guess, an entrepreneur. But it was just because I was like, we're in the middle of a recession. Literally, it was like, I'm graduating with an anthropology degree in the middle of financial crisis. I'll start a company. So, and it just so happened to do well. And during that time, I did my master's. I continued to study game development and design, and some other
So
techie
what's the
stuff.
name of that company? Can you share with us?
That company was called Stunnable, but it pivoted into more B2B inventory software, like powering. I realized with the company, it was a great thing to have an online personal shopper, but if you couldn't buy any of the stuff in a very user-friendly way, there was no point. And you'd get redirected to like say Bloomingdale's and then be out of stock or not have your size. So I went on this mission to get access to every company's inventory information.
I actually have a few really good friends in this exact field. So one of my friends, John Harari, he owns a company called Windowsware.
Yeah.
So basically, Windowsware. So he basically integrates all these companies in an app, and he's B2B.
Yes.
And then one of my other friends, she owns Modabox. So
awesome.
She goes, basically, she sends out the box to the people, which I feel like, oh my, that's so much work. But she's trying to automate it, and it's like all now she's using artificial intelligence. Like, oh, how do you use
crazy? I know.
Intelligence for fashion?
So at the time, I don't think we really had. I definitely was using machine learning because we had machine learning in artificial intelligence engineers. That was my brother's roommate from college, was our co-founder and CTO. But I wasn't like, we didn't use buzzwords like that at the time. It was just like, oh, I have a recommendation system for
recommendation. Yeah.
No one took me seriously. One, because I was a 19-year-old woman, or perceived as a girl at that time, doing quite complex technological things, but because it was in the fashion industry, it was not really seen as that technically intense. So
all right, I have to stop you there. That is just so crazy. Because wait, how old was Mr. Mark Zuckerberg when he started?
That is so true. I mean, I don't know if it was, I think it was a mix of course there was some ageism. I'm sure there were gender dynamics.
Oh my God. Let's be real. The woman thing is there. It's still there. it's still there. So we're
Yeah, I
not gonna
mean,
get that.
I've mentored some people now that I'm further on in my career, and I've done these companies. I've done 3 companies now, or raised money and taken that path. And it still baffles me that early on, and this was my own learning experience, I didn't yet have the boundaries to you know, identify if, you know, a meeting was actually leading in a direction of maybe a term sheet, or it was just some sketchy meeting where it's like, you know, a sketchy investor dude using his power to hang out with a young woman.
Oh,
And
yep.
so I had a lot of those experiences. It kind of turned me off from the tech space, so much
Yeah.
so that I took a year off living in the mountains, working as a ski patroller in Park City, Utah.
All
So
right.
I
Okay. That is
got,
so crazy. You know, I'm a double diamond black, a
yeah,
double black diamond skier. But actually, let me tell you that that is exactly why when I started my company, and everybody's like, why don't you just like go uh, get seed money, go to venture capitalists and this and that. And for that, I had to actually go to all these sketchy meetings, which actually, so I've never told these stories of what happened every time I went and asked for help. Literally, that's how I was perceived. I'm like this young girl. Now I'm like going to talk to this old guy with money, and there's a lot of misconceptions around that. That is the reason why I was like, you know what? I don't have to deal with this. I can do the. I bootstrap my way up, because like I'd rather be staying in my home in my computer and just do it on my own than going to all these interviews and be seen as something that I'm not, and not be taken seriously, which is just sad. But
so yeah, the first company I actually, after having a few of those, like a taste of that, I ended up bootstrapping it. And the most recent company, so the reason I got back into crypto and blockchain, this whole space, was that I took this time off, or not time off, I just like learning new things. So I got my EMT license. I said, I'm going to unplug, I'm going to feel the nature, learn about, you know, saving people. And of all the places, I'm in the mountains in Utah. This is where crypto comes back into my life. So a
wait,
company,
Charles Hoskinson?
no, it, so overstock.com,
Yeah.
which has now come under quite a bit of fire in the industry, but at the time they were one of the earliest companies to accept uh, Bitcoin, and Patrick Byrne was very into it. And I came across some members of their board
Yeah.
while living out there, and I consulted for one of them to actually built out a loyalty product, um, probably in 2013, 2014. So I come back into the space while trying to get away from tech, and I would just became so fascinated with it. Like I couldn't look away. I mean, when you start questioning things like what is money, who creates money, who controls money, okay, what is a nation state, why do we have those, and start like unpacking the way that like global societies are structured, I was like, this is a very big transition
Right.
that
I
we
mean, for
are.
me, it's like it's so interesting because exactly as to what is money? Why is a $100 bill more valuable than a penny, which actually has more value? The copper
Yeah,
is more valuable than the paper, but the message that it carries and the fact that people believe in it makes that $100 bill more valuable. And then, like I said, that to people who are like, "Oh, crypto is not backed by anything." Neither is a $100 bill. It's not backed by
right.
gold. It's not backed by oil. It's just because people believe in it. It's just a message that it carries.
Yeah, or some argue that it's backed by, you know, the military industrial
Uh,
complex or a war, I mean,
right.
which is not
It's
great.
not ideal.
Yeah.
I'd rather it not be.
Yeah.
And so you start consulting for overstock.com. Were you behind the whole what are their new I interviewed Sam from overstock.com, and now I don't remember the name of the company. What is their token name? Oh my gosh, I can't.
T0.
Right?
T0 is
T
the
zero. Oh, I interviewed
I
him on Diva on the blog. It was my first client.
so
Yeah.
no, this was way before they were doing this,
Oh
or
really?
at least doing it
Yeah,
publicly.
2015. You're right.
It was actually, I ended up leaving Utah for a number of reasons, but I mean, the guy I was working with had like black cars like parked outside of his house every night spying on him. Like I didn't know what was going on, but I was like, I don't want to get in over my head.
All right,
with,
who is this person? We
I
need to know.
can't name names. I can't name names. He wasn't still involved with the company at the time. He was a board member and then kind of moved out. But they were doing a lot of work at the time in educating Wall Street. Like there was a lot of either tension or just kind of starting to push some of these initiatives forward before it had come even close to reaching any sort of mainstream conversation. So I would say they were very ahead, even behind the scenes, on just kind of like, you know, the lobbying or education
Yeah,
side.
I mean, that's the reason why I bought a shitload of stocks,
Yeah.
because they were just like, Patrick Byrne is like, he's like, who was all in, and like they were the first company to accept it. And I was like, I was kind of rooting for them as an underdog to Amazon. I'm like, I really wish they could take down. And it hasn't. Actually, their stock dropped massively yesterday, but I'm holding on to it. But we'll see where it's going to go. And now with Patrick not being on the head, you don't know where the company is going to go. Do you know where the company is going to go?
No, I know. If I did, I probably wouldn't be able to share it. But yeah, so I mean, I come back into the world through that and end up, meeting my co-founders for the most recent company called Chronicled. And it was a very weird story. It was 2014 or 2015, like around that time. So things were still very ambiguous. It was like the only blockchain was the Bitcoin blockchain, and like Ethereum was a test net. And so we came together with this mission, mainly from the financial services industry and private equity funds, saying, look at this technology and use it for physical assets. So like deeds of titles for homes, or, representing automobiles. And we ended up just going on this crazy path that led us into supply chain. So now that company is doing mostly financial automation in the pharmaceutical industry.
All right, I'm just gonna share. Yeah. So yeah, tell us. So this is B2B basically. Like,
yeah. So this has gone. I mean, I've recently moved into an advisory role with the company. So I was doing that, working on that for about 4.5 years. And again, we went through this whole crazy journey of, starting with representing, like putting a sneaker on the blockchain for allowing sneakerheads to trade collectible Jordans and Yeezys, and creating an authenticated marketplace, and moved into oil and gas, and then moved into tracking gold from mine to vault. And then ultimately it found its stride in the pharmaceutical industry, which is why you see just only pharma now. And so the company doubled down there. There's a network called MediLedger, where I think as of right now, it's tracking 90% of the drugs shipped in the United States, and working with, the top manufacturers and wholesalers in that ecosystem. So it's doing quite well. I think when I moved into the advisory role, it was around the time I had worked on the book. So I wrote a book called Bitcoin Pizza.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about it. Yeah. So Bitcoin Pizza, for those of you who are not familiar, what happened with that? Is that Bitcoin Pizza, or is it a different?
Yes, it is. Well, so again, being so early in the space, and actually, running a company as a product person. So I ran product for this company and was a co-founder. And it was really hard to create or sell a product when people don't know what the hell you're talking about. So I spent all this time educating, like just getting people up to the basics of like, what is Bitcoin? What is a blockchain? What are certain things you can do with it? But I also realized like there's incredible information, like what you've written for the space, or what others have written on like the finance or investing side. There's a lot on like the technology side, but there's not a lot in terms of the culture. And so when people would say, what's Bitcoin Pizza Day? Or why do you say things like to the moon or hodl? Or why is there talk of Lamborghinis? So it's more of a fun introduction to the world of this space and the culture of the space, and the implications of, the why people are building and what you can do with it.
Right. I mean, this is right up my alley because like I'm so glad that your book is here too, because I mean that's what I'm trying to do with Diva on the Block as well, because the community is just so weird and it's just so it's something different. I'm a member of so many different communities, as I'm sure you are, because you're an entrepreneur, you're in tech. I have an electrical engineering background, so I have my entrepreneurial group. I have my well, engineers, my husband is the only one, but like I have my crypto people. I used to be in Forex. I have my investing people, but the crypto community, dude, is so weird. I just came back from this event Chainwise in Cincinnati, Ohio, and like when you get together with crypto people, they're like partying and they're like it's a different feel than any other one of it. And yeah, you're right. Like people don't know about even like this is like one of the most famous stories in crypto community, which is the fact that one guy, which have they found out who he was, by the way?
So Laszlo Hanyas was the person. He was a programmer working at a company called GoRuck, which makes really awesome backpacks or rucksacks that are inspired by the military. And, you know, obviously involved in the Bitcoin talk forums and early on in Bitcoin. And he was the one who proposed to another person on the other side of the transaction, which that's the person that, you know, he's not very publicly out about this because he was receiving 10,000 Bitcoin, but basically wanted to.
Oh, so the receiver is also known then. Like, I mean, we know.
I think I don't know. I mean, I spoke to someone who was like, I know the receiver and I can put you in touch with him. But I don't know. I didn't pursue that thread. But yeah, I mean, Laszlo sold or sent 10,000 Bitcoin to this person who then bought 2 Papa John's pizzas and sent them to his house. So, you know, basically proving, or in his interviews, he said, we wanted to show that this network could actually work for something that impacts something in the real world. And what better than food,
pizza.
like sustenance. And yeah, pizza. I mean, pizza has a place in most great origin stories.
100%. I mean, a lot of people, so I think the reason why the story is so fabulous is because it's pizza, because there are so many other people who sold their Bitcoins to buy games or softwares, but those stories didn't become as well known because they're just like boring. But pizza is like everybody can connect with it, and like everybody loves pizza. So
yeah, so and the other ones are like kind of sad. Like I know I definitely at some point was like investigating things through research, either through Second Life or like in the dark web, like doing anthropology research, like probably not great things that I should be doing. And like, yeah, I was like used Bitcoin to do things, but I wasn't like thinking about holding on to this. And
nobody thought of it as an asset. Everybody was just trying to prove that this is something that can work, and they're not even proof, like experimenting whether this could work or where can I use it. So it was more of a game, and now it's turned into an actual financial asset, which makes all the difference.
Yeah, it does. And I think, I mean, yeah, the story is a little bit more lighthearted and actually like proves that it wasn't just, because a lot of people say also like, oh, I had Bitcoin really early on and then I did something and lost it. And there's no real way of knowing. And, you know, in our space, there are a lot of people who are full of it. And you wouldn't know, like maybe you're early, maybe you're not. But I think, you know, Laszlo and this origin story is important for the community.
So so your goal was to basically reach people who are interested in the cryptocurrency world with this book, or was it to kind of promote your company? Like like who are you trying to reach, and what is?
Yeah. So again, it happened at a time when I was transitioning from the company. So I actually rewrote the book a few times to shift some of the goals. Originally, the goals were, I found myself doing a lot of, you know, education, corporate consulting, you know, on the level of governments, multinational corporations, like individuals who already knew like either their bosses or board members or people, or they'd seen in the news on CNBC or something like misinformation, you know, around 2017 about like blockchain. We've got a blockchain this or blockchain, like blockchainify that. And it just, I really wanted,
Blockchainify.
yeah, it was like, let's
Never
put
heard that one.
blockchain on everything. And so, I wanted to give them just kind of like compete against that misinformation and show that it's so much bigger than just the technology. But it's more of a like socio-cultural paradigm shift that's occurring. And so it was important to me to help people understand that. Also, it was frustrated. I'd sit in rooms with these, people controlling massive companies, and they would use the term God mode, which is something that was used in traditional software. The idea to see and control the entire system. And I was like, this is just not the point. Like, you have to understand the point a little more. So the goal really was just to educate about the entire landscape of the space and to be as objective as I could. So, I mean, as you know, in crypto, there are so many different belief systems and groups of people. So maybe
Oh my
you'll
God,
have,
everybody's fighting with each other.
yeah,
No,
it's
I'm
like,
better. No, he's scam. I don't know.
it's like, Bitcoin maximalists and shit coins, and like there's enterprise blockchain, and everyone's like, that shouldn't exist. That's stupid. It's only Bitcoin. Or enterprise blockchain's like blockchain, not Bitcoin. And being in the enterprise world, which I don't, or having been in it, because I actually find some of those use cases to be problematic, but having seen it from the inside, um, in my beliefs changing and evolving, I just wanted to give sort of a landscape of all of it. Of like, okay, we're going to go through chapters of like, here is Bitcoin. And then like, here are enterprise, blockchain use cases. Even if tracking lettuce on a blockchain is stupid, or
Which is
think what
not. You want to know where your lettuce came from.
maybe, I don't know. Some people say it's
Some
stupid.
people do. Some people are like, I want to know the origins.
Yeah, so if you think it's stupid, great, you can hate the book, but there's a chapter for you in it that's like totally supporting Bitcoin. So yeah, I just wanted to like give people a primer on what's going on, so they're not lost in the mix of it all, and feel empowered to come into the community. Because for me, and as we said, like, coming into any community as a newcomer, especially one that feels sometimes kind of scary and polarizing, and there's like anonymous Twitter people having arguments about things that are like
What are you even talking about?
Yeah,
right?
just
And all these terms and the geek words.
Yeah, just give like people who've heard about it and are interested a really relatable and hopefully fun and kind of funny primer on the
Right.
space.
So what so the book is awesome, and I hope everybody should go, and like people who are interested to find more about Bitcoin and the community, I think they should go and read it and then go and read my book. But if you want to invest in it, there are two different things. We're not
That's actually the best. Your book is actually, we should sell them together, because
I know, because they're so different. Mine is about, looking at it from a financial security kind of point of view. Yours is about the community, which I think is super important, because so this is what happened. The reason why I started Diva on the Block is literally that, because when I published the book, and it's a For Dummies book, it's an actual book, right? So it's like, I want to empower everybody. So I'm going to give the book away for free.
Yeah.
I have a big following. I have a big, subscriber list. And I'm like, you guys, my new book is out and I'm going to give it for free. I'm like, I'm going to sell 1 million copies of that. You know how many people got the free copy? 200.
How many?
200.
Okay.
And I'm like, guys, I'm giving this for free. Like, why are you not getting it? And I started getting emails back like, oh, we don't really get it. We don't want to get involved because it's just too scary. This was after the bubbles, and your book also came after the bubble, and people are now just way too skeptical. So I'm like, you guys, like, you got to see the people behind it, and that's why I so appreciate your book, because like that is what it is. Like, people don't get, like, they're actual, legit people who are in this.
So the crazy thing that happened with my book that was unintended but really warmly welcomed, and maybe because it is that I'm a woman, is that I got a lot of female readers. Like, those are my biggest fans. And one, I'm pumped because like supporting financial inclusion for everyone is something I'm passionate about, particularly for women. And why I say your book would be really great as a follow-up is the number one thing people say after they've read my book is, how do I get involved and how do I invest? And that's not the space I come from, not my area of expertise. So I will send them your way. Because
Oh, yay. And you know what? Invest Diva is all about empowering women.
It is. And so it's so exciting to me, like these people literally of all ages, young and old, like 75-year-old women, 80-year-old women who are like, how do I buy some Bitcoin? Like, I want to invest for my grandkids. And I'm like, oh my God, this is amazing.
Is so awesome. No, yeah, I know your book is like the pre-mindset kind of channel towards a little bit like, more intimate.
Prime everyone.
Yeah, priming. Yeah. No, absolutely. And the other thing, so the book is awesome. And I just want to, I know we kind of drifted away from the topic of your company, but pharmaceuticals, I think it's just, all my students ask me about pharmaceutical stocks all the time. And I'm more of a tech stock girl because I understand like tech stocks and technology, and I get those things much better than pharmaceuticals. But one thing that every time that when I look into a pharmaceutical business is that, okay, what is leadership? What are they doing differently? And where are they going in the future? Because I'm a long-term investor. And I feel like I want to know which businesses, which pharmaceutical companies you are working with, because I feel like the ones who are actually understanding the power of blockchain and understanding the power of letting their customers know where the stuff came from, because now a lot of these companies are getting backlashes from their customers because they don't know that they're finding out all the bad things are in their medicine and they don't want to be involved with it. So can anybody like see the list of the companies?
Yeah, so I'm just referencing right now to see what is allowed.
I'm gonna bring up your, hold on.
It is on MediLedger.com. Is the pharmaceutical network that Chronicled launched. And so the public members are Pfizer, Genentech, McKesson.
So Pfizer is on it. Okay. Is this it?
Yes, that's it.
So yeah, this could be, so that is the reason why I'm excited about it. As an investor, I feel like this can be a point of reference for me and my students are going to be so pumped to see this. So we are actually invested in Pfizer. Disclaimer, I do have Pfizer shares. And these ones I have, we were talking about, I don't know these ones. I'm not, you're partners with PwC? My brother.
Yeah, again, so there's also just an announcement, I think, with SAP in MediLedger. I mean, there's been a lot. Again, I've moved into an advisory role, less operational with the company for about 6 months. But yeah, it's SAP. So recently, I'd say about 2 months ago, there was an announcement that SAP, announced that they're selecting this network as their blockchain network. So there are a lot of exciting things to. Again, I'm also from the tech perspective. I'm pretty industry agnostic and I've worked across many of them. So earlier on in Chronicled's history, we were doing work with chemicals and agriculture and automotive and personal care and cosmetics until, the pharma industry really, had the highest ROI and the biggest need, honestly, for the.
I feel like, that is what I think is the biggest need for sure, because this literally just directly impacts people's lives in like longevity. So it's just so awesome what you're doing.
And when you see, so it's really tough, particularly in the enterprise blockchain world, not on the financial services side, but you see this challenge there as well. Bringing people together on a network, not just a two-sided marketplace, but this is a complex multi-sided marketplace with, oftentimes 3 or 4 competing incentives. You need to have some sort of impetus for people to do this. And so what we found was either there needs to be some sort of regulatory driver. So the first time you probably ever hear regulations working in favor of blockchain instead of stifling, or there needs to be very strong sort of consumer demand. And in the case of pharma,
it's both.
There was a specific regulation called DSCSA, both in the US and a similar one in the EU, that requires drugs are tracked through the supply chain. But the weird thing is that it requires that you could verify this within a micro or millisecond or 0.6, and you can't do that through just point-to-point integrations. It was like it was written for blockchain. And so the industry was very quick to get together on a network. But the real exciting thing is not tracking the drugs. That was just like, we've got to maintain compliance, adhere to this specific regulation. The exciting thing is when they realized, these working groups of pharma companies, that they could save millions of dollars for the industry in automating complex financial transactions. So like rebates and chargebacks is a thing that they do in the industry, and the blockchain can automate all of that and kind of manage drug pricing. So that was the second use case. And now there's a network for a whole industry. So they're working together, and service providers are working to launch other solutions on this network. So you could imagine things that are, for the public good, to fight the opioid, epidemic, or, managing chemical compositions and things like that. So it's very early, but it's something as an investor, certainly to look at these enterprise consortiums, not just in pharma, and see what companies are involved.
Yeah, no, absolutely. That is 100% one of the things that I've been looking at. And one of the reasons why I got in overstock.com as well. But that was different. That was cryptocurrency. They weren't actually using blockchain. So the power of blockchain. So the thing is that the regulators know the power of blockchain. Cryptocurrency is the one that they're kind of resisting, and they don't get it, and they don't want it to be kind of competing with the US dollar. And it's the whole like monetary thing behind it. But I think like blockchain, once people get that blockchain is not crypto only, and that blockchain can be applied to so many different fields and can actually be good for everybody, that is when people are going to really realize that Bitcoin could actually also be good for you, or any other cryptocurrency that's going to be a winner, because it's part of that whole ecosystem of blockchain that is just changing the world in a fantastic way. So Sam Rad, I want to really, really, really thank you for joining us today. And so if you were to, I asked this question, I forgot. I asked this question for everybody. And I know you're more of a tech side and you're not in the investing side and cryptocurrency side, but do you have a favorite cryptocurrency?
Bitcoin.
Ugh, why?
Actually, there's a newer one that is also loosely related to some of the Bitcoin core developers, called Decred. I'm not really into all of the other cryptocurrencies.
2,000 of them, you're not into them. You're sure?
I was so heads down and on the infrastructure side, but what I like about Decred is, one, the team is incredible. And if user experience is any indication of where, a value of a token is going to go, you could look at different metrics, right? Like number of contributions, how active their GitHub is. So their user experience is amazing. It's so usable, and it's a combination proof of work, proof of stake. They've developed a governance system called—
This is the one, right?
Yeah, and I'm not shilling, I don't like represent them in any way.
No, I mean, I ask it because I just want people to know, and I know that this is not a promotional thing for any means. I just wanted people to like not go and get scammed. So
when I was introduced to this, got my wallet and started staking and like making money off of staking. I just was so amazed with the level of usability for this. And as a product person, I'm like, this is going to go very far, because people will adopt this. And then they have developed more tools. So they have a completely decentralized, like a DAO managed treasury. They have created a tool called Paledia for their governance of the actual, community. So all decisions are made with this tool. It seems to be bridging the gaps between some of the earlier cryptocurrencies and then taking and like productizing something like a Bitcoin. But for myself personally, I'm long-term investor in most of them.
in most of them, I'll say have a portfolio.
If I do have a diversified portfolio, but long-term, I don't trade. Honestly, I'd be interested in it, but the ambiguity around, the tax situation kind of made me a little nervous early on in doing that, or just it would be like way too much work.
And it's going to take so much of your time. You have way too many more important things going on. And you know what I always say, patience is a profitable virtue. And I definitely think that is the case when it comes to cryptocurrencies, because it's the wild west still.
Yeah, it's not, I mean, again, I'm not qualified to give financial advice, and this isn't financial advice, but my experience has been, the long-term investing, long-term outlook is working favorably to most people. And even in Bitcoin, like with it going down, if you were at a dollar cost average throughout this time period, you'd still be up in your portfolio. So I look at it that way. Bitcoin has been going strong for 11 years now. It's 11 since it was proposed, but 10 years. And, I feel optimistic.
Yeah, that's amazing. Sam Radocchia.
Yes, that's it. Radocchia.
Got it. Radocchia. All right. Thank you so much for joining, and best of luck with your company and your book. And you guys, if you have any questions, watching this from home or listening to it on your podcast, send us an email or just type in your comments in the comment section, and we'd be happy to answer your questions, whatever that you have from Samrat. I'm going to hunt her down. I'm going to, answer this person. We're going to do that. And thank you so much again for joining us. And you guys in the home, I'll see you in the next Diva on the Block episode.